Welcome to Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast. It's your host Hatch with my guy.
Yep. T.O is in the building. And man, I cannot believe who we just had on the podcast today.
No. We're about to have him on the podcast.
Oh, okay, yeah. We got one of the greatest receivers of all time.
Absolutely.
Coming to the show. And I'm not really I'm not talking about myself, but I arguably one of the top three in the league. When you talk about Jerry, myself, and Randy Moss, and that's not in any order. Man, it is an absolute honor and pleasure to have him coming to the show today.
I tell you what, right? I've known you for 20 plus years. I've known Randy for 20 plus years, and a lot of things, let's say a lot of relationships come and go in this NFL, but you two have been two of my best friends over these last 20 years. And I guess I can't say I appreciate you enough. I can't appreciate Moss enough. And to have you guys come on the show and have this moment today, I'm excited.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's real. That's from the bottom of my heart. I'm really excited to have you on.
Yeah, I know, because you had some concerns. Well, no, he had some concerns about, obviously coming on the show of, and obviously he had some, got some things he wanted to ask me or whatever, or get off his chest. So we're going to have this open dialogue, this discussion with, obviously two of the greatest receivers to ever play the game.
Yep. And I tell you what, he's definitely going to ask you, why are you wearing sunglasses? Coming up next on Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on the Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcast.
Yep. And if you want to see the video version of this, go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Terrell Owens.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to be the end of our first part series with NFL Hall of Famer wide receiver Randy Moss. Randy Moss, welcome to Get Your Popcorn Ready podcast. What's up, my guy? What's up, bro?
Man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's a long time coming. Hey, look, I told y'all that back when the pandemic hit, we wanted to do this thing. And I said, you know what? I think it would be better discussion. It would be better for the viewers for us to wait to mid-season so we will have a little, something a little bit more to talk about, something more to discuss.
Absolutely. Like now we're halfway through the NFL season. You've been doing ESPN, of course, for this whole season. How's this pandemic kind of influenced you in the media, from what a regular season would look like from your point of view?
What a good thing about me, fellas, is me being able to travel throughout the season, going to work on Sundays, and then being able to go to the Monday night venue wherever it is throughout the country. So with this pandemic, being able to stall a few plans, I've been able to be just at a remote location with Sunday and Monday countdown, man. So it's actually been a blessing in disguise from the standpoint of, traveling safely, keeping your mask on, being able to not be able to be on a plane for, 4 or 5 hours, needing to take the mask off for a drink or something to eat. So like I say, man, I mean, the show must go on. But like I say, it's been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Well, shoot. Okay. Speaking of the pandemic, if you was playing right in today's, let's say it was 2001, right? Pandemic hits and Denny Green's like, hey, you go opt out, Moss, and you go play. What would you have done during the pandemic if it would have hit when you was playing?
Well, to be honest with you, Hatch, I would really have to be a little bit more educated on this corona, the COVID-19, because one thing that I'll say, and I'm talking, just from a past player to player, the players that opted out, I think their decisions that they made was, a family decision. It didn't really have to be, it wasn't really based on them as the individual. And now that they sit back, week 9, week 10, and seeing that the guys are still playing, they're still going out there to compete, their teammates, their brothers are having fun. It's kind of like some guys maybe wish they would have, sit there and reevaluated the process. But I think for me, it would have to be for me to be a little bit more educated up on the COVID for me to be able to make a hard decision like it. I mean, you love the game. T.O., I know you love the game. I love the game. So for us to be able to make, or me to make a decision like that, man, that'll be a hard decision to make. But like I said, I would have to be educated and be brought up to speed about the pros and cons of the COVID.
Yeah. So in 1998, of course, you were the first round pick of the Minnesota Vikings, right? But let's take it back a little bit further. So that would be your decision if you was in the league. But what if you was go be that first rounder coming out of college? Would you had played that third year in college, or would you had also set that out in order to get ready for the NFL draft?
I mean, Hatch, when you look at, where I'm from, man, and kind of like the football was kind of like the only way out, man. Mm-hmm. So the love that I have for the game, man, I'm very passionate about the game. And for you to just tell me that my brothers are out there playing ball and I got to make a decision if I want to play or not, that's a hard decision to make.
Right.
Man. So like I said, it's just more of being brought up to speed. And I understand why some of the guys, opted out, because, a lot of guys in there starting families, maybe at a young age, and just being able to see their loved ones not go through what they've seen on social media or what they've seen on the news. So I understand the opt-out by players, but for me as an individual, you asking me the question, Hatch, it would be very hard for me to sit down and not play, knowing that my other brothers are out there on the field playing and I'm not. That'd be hard for me.
Yeah. I think in the last couple of months, I think sports has looked good from a visual point of view. Again, NBA, the whole playoffs went through without really any hitches in big games. Didn't lose any star players. It looks like when you sit back and watch an NFL game, it looks like a regular game because you have the crowd noise, you can see it. But again, so going into this playoff run, right? Do you think that, again, does anybody have a disadvantage or advantage during this whole COVID scenario right now?
When you look at this season, and it's kind of like you take it back to when we played, guys, where you think about some of the most hostile stadiums that you played in. You think about Kansas City,
Green Bay,
New Orleans. You think about when that crowd get loud and you can barely hear, basically just looking at the quarterback and the ball being snapped. Those guys don't have that advantage. So I think that if you're talking, the only advantage that I see for this year's playoff is the first round bye. I don't really see a team, being able to win their division to say they got a home game. That's not no edge. That's not no advantage. I think that some of the stadiums you may go to, that they are going to have some fans. And like I said, those are the fans that, you rely on the fans. Just think how many times we're on the sideline waving that white towel or pumping our fist and waving our hands in the air to try to get the crowd hyped up for our defense. So like I said, some teams don't have that. And that the fans or the people on the outside looking in don't really look at that as using that as a tool, but having your crowd behind you is a tool to have. And this year, some teams don't have that.
I think what you're alluding to, especially if you look at the blueprint of what the NBA did there in the bubble, you think about there was really no advantage. You had home teams, they changed the floors, but they changed the home team's floor. And there was really no home court, no home field advantage. And so you think about football, and now we're like past midseason. Can you give us a sense, because you, like you said, you guys have been limited with travel, a lot of the commentators and what have you. Can you give us a sense in the everybody that's listening of what it's like in the stadium? Because, obviously, I think from the beginning of the season now to like midway, I think they have started to kind of pump some crowd noise in there to kind of help with the audio part and just from a optic standpoint. When fans are obviously watching the game and they're not in the stadium, can you give us a sense of what it's like in the stadium with it not being full to capacity?
Well, let's take it to our position, fellas. Let's just take it strictly to our position. If we're out there at wide receiver, and I don't care where you are on the field, just say we're out in the field and when we're on the road, and that crowd gets loud. That means if we're in a 2-minute drill, a hurry up situation, I call them gang signs, but the sign language, the sign language. Yeah, all that. So with all that we were used to or accustomed to with having the crowd noise in there, you either got to look at the ball or you have to get the signal from the quarterback. Now that you don't have that crowd noise or the crowd noise is limited in there, man, the quarterback can just look out there and yell, "Hey, run a bang 8."
Right.
Not as simple as running a bang 8, but just say the play is called Charlie. For him to just look out there and yell at you, Charlie, okay, you know what Charlie is, let's rock and roll. Where if that crowd noise was out there, you would have to either get the signal from his hands or you'd have to lip read Charlie. So, I think that is one advantage that a lot of offenses are not used to having. And now that they can communicate out there on the field, that helps a team play a little faster, get the play calling in, go up to the line of scrimmage, yell the play out to the right, yell the play out to the left. So I think the communication it has an advantage to the offense, knowing that you don't have that crowd noise like that.
Well, Randy, I got to correct you because you said the position that we were in. He wasn't on the field.
Whoa! Hey, this is what we give me a 20.
He was over there on the sideline. I don't know what you're talking about.
See what I'm saying? Hey, Mossy, see what I got to deal with? I'm trying. No, hold on. You want to get?
Let me get him, Hatch. Let me get him. Hold on, T.O. Let me get one. So it is my rookie year. Where is Sunday night football? We got Mark Brunell. We got Mark Brunell, Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith, and them boys coming into the Metrodome.
Keenan McCardle, all of them. Yep.
All right. CC hurt. I think Jake hurt.
Jake was down.
I think Robert Smith
Smith was out.
So it was me, Hatch, Walsh, Leroy Horde.
Yep.
And I want to say Randall at the quarterback. Dog, what you do that game, homeboy?
Hey, I know we beat them boys 52-7 or something like that.
Did you get in the box? Did you get?
You know what? I had about 7-8 catches. I don't know if I scored that game, but I was on the field. I was bowling. I was killing the cover 2 cover. I did everything that day. You know what I'm saying? And here's what I be telling T.O. T.O. always talking about them 49ers when they came to town. I go, they wasn't focused because, we had Jerry Rice on the show and J.J. Stokes. I got to hear that 49er talk, but we was the best receiving core ever in the NFL, right?
No, you were not.
Ever. And number one, we have the stats to prove it.
No, you were not.
Number two, when we went head to head, what was that when Jeff George started that game when the 49ers came to the Dome? What I hit him with, Mossy? How long was that touchdown to Jeff George joint? Was it 80? Did I go 80 over?
Yeah. I think it was on Darnell Walker.
Darnell Walker. I went 80 yards.
I remember D-Walk.
Yeah,
I thought T.O. said you was warming the bench, bro.
You see what I'm saying? So
that was one. How many games you played? That was like what? One out of like 89 games.
You know what? I didn't play 80-something games. I don't think.
So let me. Real quick. Don't mean to cut you off, but now that we're talking football, I do have a real legitimate question, and it's not, and I don't mean it as a joke. I know, T.O., when you came into the Dome, I remember how hard our DB studied for you guys, mainly you. And I remember going to the scout team that week, and my coach, remember Hubbard Alexander? No, it wasn't Hub. It was Charlie. No,
Charlie Cobb.
I think it was Sherm.
Charlie Baggett.
So he said, "Hey, man, you need to rest. You need to rest for the rest of the week. And man, we don't want you tired before the game." So I said, "Look, man, the defense got T.O. this week, man. I want to give the boys a good look out there." So I remember y'all came into the Dome, T.O., and the day didn't go so well for you, and you got in the dispute with your coach over there, bruh.
Right.
I know I'm on your podcast, and I always wonder to this day, because from a competitive standpoint, I never took it personal that okay, T.O. did this or T.O. didn't do this or I did this or I didn't do that. Right. I never took it personal as if like, ooh, he had a better day than me or ooh, I had a better day than him. I always wanted to compete against you, knowing similar to what we saw in Diggs and Hopkins the other night. You know what I'm saying? So I want you, can you talk to me and take me through, you know, that game and the little dispute with you and the coach, because I think that game for you, T.O., or for me, it went the wrong way because of what the people saw on the sideline between you and your coach. You know, it is what it is, but I took it as if you wanted to have a good day. You seen what you seen what we were out there doing. You seen what our offense was out there doing, the production that our offense, mainly myself, was doing, and you wanted to produce and have a good day yourself. Am I wrong by saying that?
You're exactly, and you're absolutely right. And so that's what, again, I see that clip has come up a few times when people have obviously, like I said, even I guess, you know, when I was nominated for the Hall of Fame and there was all these things that were coming up and coming out as to why I shouldn't have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then the second year came around, it was like these type of incidents that start coming up as to why they felt like I shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. So again, that clip, that highlight always surfaced. And so you're exactly right when you said that. You're right. It wasn't anything personal against you, because what we were doing during the course of the week, I knew that I was kind of like what you were for your team. That's who I was for my team. And so I was frustrated at the fact that I bust my ass every day at practice because I knew the importance of myself and when I got my hands on the ball, I knew what I did to my team. And so for my team. So for me, the frustration lied with the fact that I was running open routes or whatever. The ball was behind me. It was low, whatever the case may be. And I'm watching from afar. And again, yeah, I mean, being in that stadium and watching you get off on our team or what have you, it was just like, okay, I can do the same thing if I'm given the opportunity, you know what I mean? And I get the ball in my hand. So it was frustrating for me because throughout the course of my career, and obviously that week, I knew it was a big week. And obviously, like I said, Monday night, whatever, I don't know if it was
Sunday that our night, first meeting? Was that our first?
I think it was one of those first time, like, it was Randy Moss, T.O.
Jerry.
Yeah, it was. Right. It was one of those things where we were highlighting the week, the course of the week. Everybody was looking forward to the matchup. And so, again, to me, to sit on the sideline and just watch you just run through our defense like a hot knife through butter, I was hot as fish grease. So I'm like, yo, get me the ball.
So I can go do that to their team.
Right. And so that's where the frustration lied. And again, as a competitor, I never really compared myself. You know, as I said, I was very aware of some of the things that you were doing. Like, at that particular time, bro, we were like the hottest things, you know, since sliced bread. So obviously, you know, we had these veteran guys on your team. You had Chris Carter, Jake Reed. On my team, I had Jerry Rice, you know what I mean, and some other guys. So I learned and started to become a better receiver as seasons progressed for me. Right. But like I said, I was never on your level when you came into the league. My first 3 or 4 years, I could have never done what you did because you came, like I said, coming from Marshall. Obviously, like I said, you had some things that happened. You could have gone to some other schools. You ended up at Marshall. And like I said, bro, you hit the league. I'm talking about by storm. I'm talking about, bro,
17 touchdowns, rookie of the year,
it
98.
was it was unbelievable. So for me, I never really compared myself to you. I'm just like, yo, this dude is unbelievable because for me and my skill set, I just wasn't there yet. I had a lot of developing to do as far as my skill set to become the receiver that I became. And so, being on that sideline, like I said, knowing at that particular time what I meant to my team, like I said, you know, having, you know, I think Jerry Rice, was he still on the team at that time?
Yeah, Jerry was there.
It was just the fact that I could not, like, bro, they could not get me the ball. I'm running open. and it was just frustrating as all get out. And so, at that point in time, like, yeah, bro, I just kind of just lost it to a point of like, yo, y'all need to get me the ball. I mean, yo, I bust my ass every week. You know what I mean? We do it in practice. I'm open. And then the fact is, like, yo, this guy needs to be held accountable for the way he's playing. You know what I mean? Because like I said, at the end of the day, I practice throughout the course of the week. I'm doing what I do. I'm open. And then if I can't get the ball, then it was a disaster. Like,
so you know how you felt like watching Randy go catch the ball and have a good game, and it like inside it was burning for you to go out there and compete and do your thing.
Yeah,
that's how I felt. I was like, hey, I know Moss is going to do his thing, and I know Chris Carr doing that thing, but coach, if you just give me the opportunity, I'm going to do my thing too. So I feel you there, T. I feel you.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. Like I said, it had nothing really to do with you. It was more so of what we weren't doing, based on, like I said, how I prepared for the game. And as you said, it's funny that, you had that more of that leadership role and more involved with your team, to the fact that, like, yeah, you went to the scout team and prepared them, for me. And for me, bro, I just wanted to, like I said, I just wanted to be productive. I just wanted to just at least make it a game. You know what I mean?
Right. Let me ask both of you guys this, because this is something I definitely see you doing this, because it comes from your question, Randy. So if you guys are watching a Sunday night game, Monday night, like say we played that day, and you go watch each other that night, when the commentator says, okay, the T.O. makes a play or Randy, you makes a play, then John Madden would say, man, he's definitely the best wide receiver in our game. What did that do at that moment? Because personally, I think, T.O., you would turn the TV off and you would go work out. That's the way I would see you if they said that about Moss on Sunday night. But do you guys hear that about each other, like in that moment?
No, T.O., you first, because I got a good one for you. Go ahead.
No, I mean, bro, I Hatch has heard this several times, and we've had people on the show, and how I've described it is that I was a realist. I realized, bro, I wasn't as good as I needed to be or I wanted to be at that particular time. As I just alluded to, Randy came into the league. Like I said, he was groomed. He was already, ready to, go up top, and like he just took the league by storm. I hadn't reached that level yet. So for me to hear a commentator say, yeah, he's one of the best in the game, I just took it as a sign of respect. It didn't inspire me to do anything more than what I was already doing. Like I said, in my eyes, I'm playing with one of the greatest receivers of all time in Jerry Rice. That's my opinion. Because like I said, at this point in time, Jerry, he's won Super Bowls, records galore, played with, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Joe Montana and Steve Young. And so I was just basically just trying to become the receiver that he was at that particular time. So, when John Madden, like I said, was giving, Randy praise, or when he watched games and he was giving me praise, that only honestly, it inspired me more. I only, like I said, when I took it, I took that into the off season, because like I said, I wanted to get better every year. So I took, whatever, I heard or I saw Randy do or whatever, or I saw Jerry, I took that into the off season because I tried to elevate my game and enhance my game every year. And that's why the trajectory of where I was once I got a personal trainer after year 3, that was like 99. That was the year after I made the catch against Green Bay. You saw an increase, a trajectory in my performance once I got a personal trainer. So, Randy, Jerry, guys like that, they only inspired me. It wasn't, like I said, there was no jealousy. And I've said it all along. I was a realist because I realized I wasn't as good as these guys and you guys were at that particular time. So I was just basically just trying to get on that level.
Well, I mean, that's great to hear. And see, from my personal opinion, I was always fueled, guys, by not just T.O. I was fueled by the guys in the league. If I hear, a commentator like John Madden, the best, sitting there listening to him, and he says that Terrell Owens or Marvin Harrison or Eric Modes, this guy could be arguably the best player in the league. Then I sit here and wonder each and every week, well, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I not doing for him to put me in that, or to mention my name in that sentence? So I was always fueled by the other guys, but I'll take you to one where in Dallas, I was with the Patriots. T.O., you were with the Cowboys, and you had 4 one day. And so you remember the 4 you had one day, and so
4 of them. Oof.
We played against that was against the Washington Redskins. Boy, I went ham. Could have had. Dude, that's so crazy. I could have had more than that, bro. Could have had more than that. Went ham on them cats.
So the day he has 4, we have the Sunday night game. We have the Sunday night football game. So when the scores and the highlights and the statistics come up on the board, all I see is Terrell Owens 4 touchdowns. I said, ooh,
4 of them things.
So this is a true story. So as I'm getting ready by the locker, Tom comes and sits down, and I said, hey, Tom, I said, you see that T.O. had 4 today? Tom told me, he said, yeah, don't worry. That's all he told me.
Oh, okay.
That's all he told me. He said, yeah, don't worry. So T.O. Hatch with them couple little words, yeah, don't worry. I didn't know what that meant.
Right.
So we come out, and it wasn't like it was like I was rubbing it in. It was like, okay, he got 4. Okay, he got 4 and 4 quarters. I got 4 and 2 half. Here, T.O., you top this.
Nice.
That was more of the competitive juices.
Right.
That when I looked at the statistics on the screen, I said, okay, he had a great day. He had 2, he had 3, he had 4, he had 150 yards. No matter who the defense, I could have been going up against Ray and McAllister and the Ravens.
It wasn't gonna matter.
I didn't care. All I wanted to do was either get close to his numbers or whoever the high point man was that week. It could have been Odes, it could have been Harrison. But the time that me and T.O. were at the top of our games and putting up these crazy numbers each week, all I ever wanted to do was just stay the course. Get 130, okay, I want 120 or 140, somewhere in there. But like when I look at and I'll get into why we didn't do the football camp later, but I just thought that when you have 2 of the hottest wide receivers in the history of the game playing at the same time and going back and forth each week, I thought that was one of the greatest things that I thought the league needed that.
Absolutely.
I thought the National Football League needed that.
Absolutely.
But through our course, T.O., or our time of getting to the top, of getting to greatness, I think that both of our competitive juices and competitive edges got in the way because of, you can go with the media reports, you can go with the media of how they ridicule the both of us. But really, in all honesty, I can tell you that it was genuinely out of love and just wanting to compete each and every week to go against guys like yourself and the Harrisons and the Modes and stuff like that. So I just always wondered when it came down to the end of, of us getting to the course to the end of our career, I was like, well, T.O., we did this, we did
y'all tied. Yeah, y'all tied at the hip.
And I said to myself, T.O., the game need us, man. T.O., you remember the talk at the Kentucky Derby when me and you had a brief conversation, and I just wanted to know, I was like, man, T.O., me and you needed to get together for the sake of the wide receiver position, because you're tall, I'm tall. Of course, you're bigger than me. But you look at how when we came into the league, a big wide receiver was a hot
anomaly.
Commodity.
Yeah, it was an anomaly at the time.
All of a sudden, Steve Smith comes. Marvin Harrison is still playing at a high level. So then the big receivers kind of, as they would say, went out of style. And then all of a sudden, T.O., they come back. So I think for my question, T.O., like, why come, I mean, was it time or what of why we could never come together to put together an annual camp? Because you said it with your own lips. You said, hey, the Manning brothers got theirs. Why can't we do ours? And I was like, dang, T.O., for us to put a wide receiver camp together each and every year annually, invite some of the top guys. I said, T.O., we could be sitting up here doing something good for the game and at the same time, man, making a lot of money in our sleep. But why did that never happen, bro? Talk to me, T.O.
Man, honestly, I have no idea, but I do remember around the time that we had that discussion, because that was around like 06, 07, because I was living in Miami in Florida at the time. And so I remember that discussion we had the talk at the Derby, and then we got on the phone, and then we had some preliminary talks about doing a wide receiver like fantasy camp or something along those lines. And like I said, it just never really got off the ground. But that's not to say that we still can't do it, because I think, we still have something to offer, to a lot of these kids, because, you think about the receivers now. I think what enabled us to do what we did, and you think about the numbers, the statistics, it was the longevity. You think about the guys that are playing the game now. I don't think, our numbers won't, they'll flirt with them, but they're not going to reach them because of the longevity. They don't know how to take care of their bodies. That's something I think we brought to the game. And you think about the number of years that you played, the number of years that I played, I honestly wouldn't have been able to put up the numbers that I did if it wasn't for me taking care of my body and things of that nature. So again, like I said, your question about why, I have no idea.
Like, you know what? I can answer that probably better than T, because I know T better than he knows himself. But T doesn't love football like Randy does. It's like you guys have again, both of y'all been, very close friends for 20 plus years of mine. So it's funny, you guys are so similar, but when you're not similar, you guys are total opposites. Because again, Randy will sit there on a day and he'll watch 3 college football games in a row, sometimes 4. I hit T, hey, you see the game? What game? He don't even know that Clemson played Alabama on a certain day. It was, certain games he'll go to, but like, it's funny how you guys are just total opposites. And I remember I was telling you, I was doing an interview once, and I was just like, on the field, right? You have this boisterous, character, and then off the field, you have a subdued and quiet. That's T.O. Moss is quiet on the field, but off the field, Randy's a little chatterbox.
Yeah, I'm a little wild, a little crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So you guys, again, where you guys are similar is really, in football. And again, I want to tell the fans, like I said, on Getcha Popcorn Ready podcast here with Randy Moss, we're talking about these numbers between T.O. and Randy Moss are so similar. Receiving touchdowns, right? Moss, you had 156. T.O., you had 153. Receiving yards, you had 1,592. Moss to T.O.'s 1,934. Receptions, 1,078 to 982. Like that's almost close as the election was. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to stuff off the field, and you guys really go the opposite way. But like T.O. said, it ain't too late. We might be able to get a camp or something, over these next couple of years, because you guys being your career paths, again, that 02 to about 08, 09, that was like watching the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, the Jordan versus the Pistons. That's what it was like watching. Unfortunately, we didn't have social media back then.
And I'm glad.
Besides, I'm glad. Moss, you would have went to jail, and T.O. would have been a hooker. I guarantee it. So, but if you guys would have had social media, I think you guys would have been more like D. Hopkins and Julio Jones, because you guys would have been going back and forth. You guys would have had a relationship via Twitter and social media, saying, like you said, Moss, hey, I got you today. And then T.O. would have came back, well, I got 4. And you would have came back, well, you know what I'm saying? But you guys didn't have that opportunity. Because, and how the seasons are for players. Like, we leave that stadium, we go home, we're with our loved ones. We're not really going to contact the other person. But in today's world, soon as you'll be watching the game, it's 3 minutes after the game, and you'll see a player tweeting already. You know what I'm saying?
Game. Yeah, good game.
Good game.
Yeah.
So I think y'all's relationship would have been definitely something for the world to watch evolve if social media was available in today's game for you two especially.
Yeah, and I think just to, I guess, piggyback on what Hat said, I think Randy, what you don't know about me is that I never thought I would play beyond the collegiate level. Obviously, we played in the Southern Conference. But I never thought I would play beyond the collegiate level.
And just, ladies and gentlemen, that's the Southern Conference, not the Southeast Conference. That's not the SEC.
Yeah, no, it's the SEC. Yeah. True. So my again, like I said, my love for football, I just didn't have that love and affection for football. Like I said, I'm not finna sit around and watch games, all day. Like even now, even over the years, I mean, I don't even really watch football like that unless, like I said, it's a particular game, or like I said, I'll catch some highlights or what have you, or I have guys, like Julio Jones and like D-Hop, I'll catch some of those highlights or what have you. But like even D-Hop over the weekend, I mean, I was out of the country, but I didn't even really pay attention to what was going on because I had people texting me like, yo, did you see that catch? And to Hash's point, I said, what catch?
Right? Yeah. And me and Moss was on Twitter going off.
Right. So somebody asked me that. I'm like, what? I'm like, what catch? Yeah. And then, bro, I had to go find on Instagram, go ask somebody what the hoopla was about or what have you. But yeah, that's just me. I've never really had that love for football like that, but I was competitive. When you talk about competitive juices, that's what drove me. That's what inspired me when I played or when we played. So, for you, Randy, like I said, bro, like, you were so dynamic. Like I said, I wasn't on your level. You know what I mean? And as the season progressed, I wasn't one of those guys that, honestly, I didn't keep up with stats. I mean, yeah, if I'm watching TV and it crossed the ticker or whatever,
right.
You see the games being played throughout the course of the day. You see the wins. You start seeing the quarterback statistics, what they threw for interception. Then obviously the receivers, they come through. You always see what they've done throughout the course of the day. I just saw it and I'm like, okay, I see what he did, but it didn't really drive me. Like I said, I didn't go to jail for Steve Young or any of my quarterbacks. I'm like, yo, did you see what Randy did? So that was funny that you went to Tom, and then Tom was like, I wish I had a quarterback like that. Mm-hmm. I honestly did. If I had some quarterbacks with that type of drive, but they weren't wired like me. You know what I mean? So it was everything that I did. Trust me, I owe it all to my receiver coaches. Bro, they're the ones that inspired me to do the things that I did, and they pushed me, and then they molded me, and they groomed me to become the receiver that I did. So, man, like I said, it was a blessing. Honestly, just like I said, every team that I went to, from San Fran to Philly to Dallas, like I said, it wasn't really about what you guys did. It was more about what I could do and my focus on what I could do for my team. But like I said, if it put me in a position to, like I said, have you step your game up every week, then, hey, we all motivated each other. We inspired each other from afar. But like I said, I saw it. But like I said, it wasn't one of those things like, okay, I'm going to try to outplay. I'm going to try to outdo Randy, because I knew my situation was a little bit different than yours. Like my quarterback, like I said, we had more rollout type of game. I didn't have the type of quarterbacks that you did, like throw 60, 70 yards down the field. I wish I had that. I didn't get that till I got to the Philadelphia Eagles with Donovan McNabb. Then I could shit. Then people saw me take the top off the shit. You know what I mean? But with you started, man. You were doing that from the jump. So I was like, man, this dude right here. Like I said, it was nothing but love. It was nothing but respect. All I could do is just handle what I could handle and work with the quarterbacks that I work with. But like I said, you had guys. You had Jeff George. I mean, you had all these guys, Dante Culpepper.
Yeah,
bro. It was obvious. Like I said, it was not a weekend that I didn't expect to see you go over the top or just mossing people every weekend. That was to be expected.
So what? So you think So how many quarterbacks? Just not counting on your finger. You think you've had over 20 different quarterbacks in your career, right?
Yeah, at least 20.
And what letter grade, not individually, out of all the quarterbacks that you have, if you put all of their letter grades together, what letter grade do you think you would come up with? C plus, C plus, B minus?
I say a B plus. I only played, like I said, I only played a few years with Steve Young. I didn't really get to really develop and become, like, I didn't ever really get to play with him like Jerry got to play with him and Jerry got to play with Joe Montana.
Right.
Like I said, had I had a consistent quarterback, like you think about what Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what you and Dante Culpepper, I mean, I don't know how many years you guys played together, but you guys thought it was like you guys were joined at the hip. It was like string music. It was like you guys were in sync. Like it was always that connection. So for me, I played with Steve Young, Jeff Garcia, Tim Rattay,
Romo. Romo.
Man,
what type of connection and what type of connection off the field did you have with your quarterback, T.O.?
Oh, we really didn't have. I never really had that.
So that's no dinners, no coming over to the house, no hanging.
Nope, never.
Was that you? Was that them? Was it mutual? What do you think?
I can't really say that anybody's at fault. It just wasn't one of those things that we did. And I know, like I said, that's something that sometimes that develops the chemistry, the camaraderie.
Right.
But that's something, like I said, I never did. Everybody kind of just went their separate ways and did their own thing. I mean, had they invited me, I'm pretty sure I probably would have been receptive to it, but that was nothing that either one of us initiated. I just never really had that rapport to really have any type of communication beyond the facilities. To be honest, we went to team functions and things of that nature, but we talk about dinners or Thanksgiving or Christmas holidays and things like that.
So if you had one of your parties, would you invite those quarterbacks to those parties?
Oh yeah, I mean,
and they didn't show up or something.
Oh, when I was in Philly, bro, when I was in Philly, I threw parties. I invited everybody. Man, I had Coy Detmer.
Did Donovan show up?
Hold on, you and McNabb didn't connect in Philly, bro?
Yeah. In Philly, that was probably the first time I had a quarterback really just interacting and really had. Yeah, so in Philly, I threw parties, like the defense was there. I had the backup quarterback there, Coy, Tyson, all those guys. Man, I had bought this big ass house, and I had a basement.
Yep.
And I decorated it, everything, and I called it the lounge. I had this fluorescent thing made with a little martini glass. And
it starts in your mind, Gold Mouth. It starts in your mind. Boom, boom room.
What you got the boom, boom?
Hey, going downstairs, man. I'm telling you, I had it lit up. It was called the lounge, man. Every Monday, Tuesday night, we had Monday Night Football or whatever. Obviously, we had Tuesdays off. Man, I had people coming over. That was the thing. That was the thing. I started that. I initiated that because even when I was in San Francisco. I mean, I had get-togethers and parties and what have you, but it wasn't like any of the quarterbacks, came through or what have you. I had some of the running backs, DBs. I even had guys from Oakland. Some of the Oakland Raiders, they were coming down from Oakland because they knew they heard about my parties.
Okay.
So it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't one of those things where it was I was trying to develop some chemistry or rapport with the quarterbacks. Again, they were doing their own thing or what have you. But when I went to Philly, man, I had parties. It was fun. Donovan was coming over.
What year was that? What year was that?
04.
No, what year was it for your career that you went to Philly? What year in your career?
Year 9. Year 9.
Okay, so T.O. in year 9, the prior 8 years, you felt that year 9 was the year that you really felt. Well, the reason why I'm asking that because I say this time and time again, I always wanted to feel like I was a part of a team. And I've been on some good teams, hats. We went, 15-1, but I was a rookie. I wasn't a leader of the team. I didn't go out for the coin toss. I didn't feel a part of the team. I just made plays for that team. So I never felt like I was a part of a team until I went to New England, T.O. And where you got my back, I got your back. And that's why I'm asking this question, because just to hear you say that, regardless of your quarterbacks and the players that you had, offense and defense, you saying that you went into year 9 where you threw parties, the guys was receptive, everything was cool. Was that your first Super Bowl appearance?
Yeah, that was that was my first Super Bowl appearance. And again, like I said, when I was in San Francisco, I threw some get-togethers and parties and things of that nature, and I had guys come through or what have you. But yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that about feeling a part of a team where guys felt like they had each other's back. Honestly, that's in a sense when we played. I felt that was the case, but then there were some things that transpired, off the field or outside of football where I didn't feel like guys had my back. And obviously, Donovan and I, we had that riff or what have you, where he supported, some teammates, publicly in regards to contractual things such as that. And then when it came to me, when we were leading up to the Super Bowl, and there were questions asked of him about me, was whether I was going to play this, and that, and the other, and he made some little kind of like little snide remarks, was that we don't need T.O. to win the Super Bowl, things of that nature. That's what got me and rubbed me the wrong way when, as a quarterback and leader and captain of the team, especially for someone of his caliber, I felt like he could have articulated or addressed the media in a way that didn't really come off so sideways. And so I never really felt like he had my back when we were on the field. There were some times, like I said, I felt like I didn't get the ball thrown to me because he had control of the ball. And there were times during the course of the game where I had plays drawn up for me and I'm wide open and I didn't get the ball. And I go back to the sideline. I'm talking to the coach. He's looking at me like weird. And I'm asking my coach, yo, what's going on? I'm like, I was wide open. And I'm like, before I made any type of assumption, I'm like, yo, did he get pressured? Did he get out of the pocket?
That's the first thing we wonder. That's the first thing we wonder.
What happened?
When it's your call, coach call your play. You've been telling me all week the ball coming to you. Then when you don't get the ball, that's the first thing as a wide receiver we sit there and wonder, man, was he flustered? Did he get off his spot or something? But I'm with you.
Right. So I went. That was, like I said, a particular game where that happened. And that was kind of really the kind of like the downside and kind of just the demise of our relationship. When I started seeing things like that happen, and even my coach, he was just like, he looked at me straight. He was like, I don't know why he didn't throw it. He was like, he was in the pocket. The pocket was clean. He just didn't throw it. And I want the audience to understand from a football locker room, right? There's 53 guys. Every player is not going to be best friends with every player. It's impossible, right? So you don't have 53 guys' phone numbers. You might have 20 or 30, but out of that 20 or 30, you're still only going to, like I said, do the dinners and do the hanging out on a continuous basis with maybe 10 of them. And it's not that you don't like those other guys because they're your teammates. If they were going to get in a fight, you would be fighting right with them, but you still don't have their phone number. But you guys still don't go to dinner, but you guys are going to fight. So I just want the audience to understand, because we're talking about, I guess it's really a sensitive subject when it comes to, especially for T.O.'s career, because people, his teammates. If you go to work tomorrow, listener, and out of the 50 people you see, how many phone numbers do you have at their job? It's like you guys have to take in consideration that, again, everybody out of 50 players cannot be best friends. We respect each other. We love each other, and we will fight for one another. Yep. But the reality of every single player in that locker room being best friends and telling each other, their deepest, darkest secrets, it's just not a reality.
How long is a football game? 3 hours, right?
3 hours.
At least 3 hours, yeah.
So let me piggyback at a little bit, Hatch, about, I don't want the viewers and the fans to get it misconstrued about us not being a team guy. Right. I think T.O., for what you stood for, the numbers that you put up, the records that you broke, the highlights that you have, I look at it as that you came to work every day. Mm-hmm. And my philosophy about the game of football is this: middle school, high school, college, or pros. I don't care in the pros, let's say the pros, 3 hours. Can we come together one time out of 7 days for 3 hours to accomplish one goal? I don't care what you did Friday. I don't care how much alcohol. I don't care all that stuff. I don't care what you did. But can we come together one day out of 7 days for 3 hours to accomplish this one goal? That's why I said that the teams that I've been on, it never seemed that the 53 men that was on the roster year in and year out that, hey, so what? You got drunk. So what? You did this. So what? You did that. Hey, bro, it's game day. So for whatever was going on during the week, what we got in a pushing match on Wednesday or Thursday, but now we can't come together on Sunday. So that's what I mean by I never really felt a part of the team, because you have 3 or 4 guys over here, you have 4 or 5 guys over here, you have a group over here. So when I finally got to New England, it was kind of like, hey, Moss, we don't care where you came from. We don't care what you've accomplished, what records. Hey, bro, we only care about today and moving forward. And I was like, wow, nobody has ever put it to me like that. So when I went to New England, it was kind of like that I could let down my guard, I could breathe, I could woo-saw, and just get to playing football. So that's why I just always felt that, I never felt a part of a team. And just by hearing what you said, Terrell, just being able to hear, and it seemed that. And speaking of the Super Bowl opportunity, I always wanted to know, man, it was a gutsy performance, one of the greatest that I've seen, T.O. And I'm not just blowing smoke, I'm just giving you respect and giving credit when it's due. That was one of the gutsiest performances I've seen in the Super Bowl history of what I've been watching on the screen. And I just want you to like, dog, take me through the week, because, I mean, I'm a fan, and a lot of sports fans was like, and I know the Eagles fans was like, oh, he's going to play. He's not going to play. He's not going to play. And all of a sudden, man, you out there with what, one leg out there, bro? For a 10-yard curl?
I watched some of those highlights, and that was one of the things I was like, because once I started going and I started kind of, feeling things out, I was just like, shit, I'm on half a leg and they can't stop me. And that was
he said that on camera, yeah.
And for me, man, it was first and foremost, I try to tell people they don't understand what the rehab process and what I went through just to get on the field. Number one, I honestly tried to exercise my faith in God to really show people that, you can do beyond what your mind and anybody else tells you that you can do. And then just the training staff that basically pushed me to the limit. Because like I said, at one point in time, like I said, once I got out of surgery, and then I'm on my way back from Baltimore, because I had my surgery in Baltimore like the next day or so. And then I'm driving, I'm in a car on my way back. I'm talking to the radio station, and they asked me how the surgery went. And I'm like, I said, before I know it went well or what have you. And they asked me, my thoughts on possibly, making it to the Super Bowl if we get there. And I just basically just said, I said, if they make it to the Super Bowl, I said, trust me, I'm going to be ready. And I just put that, that's just me knowing who I am. And
hold on, is that how you felt? Or were those just words to the radio station?
No. That's just how I was wired. Like, bro, if you watch what I did in San Fran for 8 years and what I did up until that point of me getting hurt, bro, I felt unstoppable. That was the first time I had a capable quarterback that could obviously throw the ball down the field. Obviously, he could throw every route. His arm strength was that nice to where I felt like I was able to do everything that I envisioned myself doing in San Francisco. I was able to do that under the coaching staff of Andy Reid. Andy Reid is by far the best coach that I've ever played for, because he's an offensive-minded type of individual. You think about now what he's doing in Kansas City when he left.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised that he's doing that in Kansas?
Not at all. I knew. I did some interviews because people asked me how did I think that he was going to fare out in Kansas City. I said, just watch. he's by far like one of the smartest offensive kind of like gurus that I, like I said, in the National Football League. For me to do the things that I did in Philly, it was unbelievable. These stats I know because fans, they flood my social media. Bro, I played in 21 games and I had 20 touchdowns. So, I was scoring left and right. I was scoring at a high clip. So with me, man, I just, like I said, my production just basically came from me believing in myself, knowing that, like I said, I was a third rounder, but I had to basically, like I said, I had to evolve. I had to develop myself into the receiver that I saw you guys were. You were far more groomed as a receiver, like I said, coming into the league than I was. And so I said from afar, I watched, like you said, the names that you were mentioning, Eric Mose, Marvin Harrison, Eddie Kennison, all these guys, Keyshawn Johnson, like I said, first rounders, second rounders. I saw that. I just knew. I'm like, okay, for you guys to be drafted first and second round, you guys were nice. Me, I'm third round, almost fourth round draft pick. So I knew I had to obviously work my butt off to get where I was. So fast forward to the Super Bowl, man, I just, like I said, I put my faith in God, number one, and I trusted everything that I had done, that process to get ready for the Super Bowl. So those 2 to 3 weeks, like I said, like a 6.5, 7 weeks to the Super Bowl, bro, I was rehabbing basically nonstop. I would rehab basically twice a day. I would get up in the morning, get to the facility, the whole entire day I'm rehabbing. Bro, the next day, I thought I was going to just like chill and just like, okay, let myself heal a little bit and then start rehabbing like a week later. Bro, they had me rehabbing the next day after surgery. Bro,
wow.
When the blood, like I said, when I had to elevate my foot throughout the course of the night, bro. When I put my foot down and that blood,
come down, woo, and know that pain,
bro. That might have been the most excruciating pain that I didn't look forward to for the first week or so, bro. Wow. That was like the most painful stuff that I've ever experienced in my entire life. Bro, I did not want it, bro. I hated when the morning came because I'm like, yo, I got to put my leg down. And when that blood started rushing down to my ankle, boy, it might have been the most excruciating pain ever. So in the Super Bowl, man, like I said, they wanted to, the day of the Super Bowl, I have this routine where I just go, I'll take a lap around the field, kind of just feel things out or what have you. So for me, going to the Super Bowl, this was a little bit different because now I have an injury. I don't really know what it's going to feel like to be running around because the first time that I practiced with the team was that Wednesday leading up to the Super Bowl. That was the first time that I had practiced with the team. Everything prior to that, I was doing individual stuff with the trainers.
How did Wednesday go?
Let me tell you something. That was the first time I was with the team. We were down in Jacksonville, and for people, the fans that are listening, and that was the first time I had practiced with the team. And for this particular time of the year, it was unseasonably cold for Jacksonville. So it was raining. It was probably like about 60 degrees. And I was like, man. So prior to that, I'm fine. I'm doing the drills. I'm doing lateral drills. I'm doing cutting, changing direction, all types of stuff. So I get on the field for the first time and it started raining. Bro, my legs started to ache like no other.
It was cold.
Because of the climate?
Everybody, I'm trying to play it off. And yep. And I started limping. And so I didn't know that I was limping, but I was trying to play it off. And so after that practice, Rick Burkholder, who's the head trainer, he goes and he talks to the head coach because everybody's seeing me. All eyes are on me at practice. So Andy Reid tells Rick, he's like, yo, I don't think he's going to be ready. He said, coach, he's going to be ready. He goes, I don't think he's ready. He goes, look, did you see him out there? He's like, he was limping. And then I said, I was limping, Rick? He's like, yeah, just a little bit. But I said, up until that point, my leg had never hurt, nothing. For this particular reason, I have no idea. But to prior to that, before I left to go to the Super Bowl, Jeremiah Trotter introduced me to this pastor, Pastor Gardner. And, bro, he's so prophetic. he basically told me, this is a week or two before I left to go to Super Bowl. He came to my house with Trotter, and he wanted to pray with me before I went down. So during the prayer, he basically just told me, he goes, yo, he said, he stopped in the middle of the prayer, and he was like, yo, he goes, T, he goes, I got to tell you, he's like, a spirit came over me. He goes, I just got to tell you what's on my heart and what God just was telling me. He goes, yo, he said, something is going to create some doubt during the course of the week when you're down and getting ready to practice. He said, something is going to happen that's going to creep in your mind. It's going to create some doubt that you're not going to play in that game. And he basically said, yo, he said, I don't want you to get discouraged. And he goes, yo, he gave me some words to say when that happened. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Were the words rebuke the devil?
Yep. He was like, yo, exactly. He basically said, when it happens, I want you to say in your mind, I want you to say, I rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus. That's what he said. That's funny. And so at that point in time, I had no idea, because, bro, this is in the middle of prayer that he basically stopped and he said this. So I'm like, okay, cool. I wasn't tripping. So fast forward to the first day that I practiced with the team. Lo and behold, my dang leg started to ache. It started to hurt. That's what he was talking about. He was like, yo. So in my mind, I'm like, yo, this is what he's talking about. So in my mind, that's what I said. I said that.
Right.
So Thursday, I practiced a little bit more. So Friday, I practiced. That's basically, we do nothing on Friday. And so this is where coaches have to, they go over the injury report. They go over the guys that's going to be active or non-active. So they basically, obviously, I was a big topic of discussion in the meeting. And so Andy Reid basically was telling them, no, he wasn't going to allow me to play. Rick Burkholder, the trainer, he basically said, he goes, T, I had to stand on the table for you and let them know that you were going to be ready to play. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I said, yo, I'm going to be ready. I said, just get me right. I said, we got a couple more 48 hours before the game. I said, I'll be ready. And so game day, I go out, I run around. And so before I go out, they wanted some extra protection on my ankle. So they basically taped my ankle. Up until this point, bro, I guess when I was in San Francisco, I stopped taping my ankles, because during the course of the week, you don't tape your ankles, and then on game day, we tape. Right. So I'm like, I stopped taping my ankles. I'm like, yo, why am I taping my ankles on game day when I go through practice throughout the course of the week and I'm fine and I don't tape my ankles? Right. So that's what I did. But in this particular case, they wanted some extra protection, so they taped my ankle up. Bro, I went to go run around that field. Man, my foot was hurting so bad. I went right back in the training room. I said, Rick, I can't wear this tape, bro. I said, I can't. I said, it's hurting. So he's like, all right, cool. Took the tape off. I went back out, ran a few routes. The media, everybody, when I came back out, it was like,
I remember.
Man, so I went out, man, and then, like I said, the rest is history, man. I just, like I said, I was so focused, honestly. I was just focused on really, like I said, just being there for my team and just really just being productive. That's all. That was really my main focus. I was so consumed with really kind of like how I was going to play and obviously the injury that I only got a chance to soak up like really what was going on, the atmosphere of the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I remember going out on the field and just looking around because like I said, this is the Super Bowl. I had never been there before. And I just basically took a moment just to kind of just look around the stadium. I'm like, man, this is the Super Bowl. I've always watched it. I've always been, in the city where the Super Bowl is either being played or early in my career, I was at home, getting ready to watch the Super Bowl. And I'm like, man, this is what it was like. So I tried to take that moment, on the field to kind of just soak up whatever Super Bowl moments I could. And then once the game started, it was just, like I said, it was just second nature. Once I saw the ball and I got it in my hands, I felt good. I remember the first play was a flanker drive. And I ran across there and Donovan threw it. Yeah, he threw it. And then, man, I turned upfield.
I seen that.
It was just like those juices, man. I was just like, oh, my God. I'm like, okay. I was cool. I'm like, okay, I caught it. I planted a little bit, ran up the field, I'm like, okay, cool. He might be able to do something. Yeah. And then again, 8 passes after that. Like I said, I didn't know what I was going to finish with, but I ended up finishing with 9 catches, 122 yards. And
but
honestly, I felt like if I had a couple more catches or opportunities, we would have won
the game.
Right.
Yeah, because there was one particular play where they called all go. They called double go. And I lined up to the right side of the formation. And
Who was on you?
I think it was Asante Samuel or somebody. It was or Gay. It was one of those.
Was the offense's right, defense left?
Yeah.
Okay, that was Santi Samuels. I'm with you. Go ahead. I'm with you.
Yeah. So we called double go. And bro, I beat him so bad off the line. And when I went outside him, I got back on top. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I started to separate based on my release. And dude, when in my mind, as soon as I did that, soon as I got the release and he didn't get no jam on me, in my mind, in my body, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit, this is tough. Like, this is 6. I said, this is 6. So man, my teammates, like I said, I'm on my sideline. They saw the release and I could hear them on the sideline. They was like, oh shit. I'm like, touchdown. Dude, I looked at the peripheral. Once I got beyond the defender, and let's say I started just digging a couple of yards, and I kind of just peeked back. I saw him load up and throw to the other side of the field. Everybody was like, I heard the air come out of everybody. And he was throwing to Pinkston on the left side.
Yeah.
Defense right. And I'm like, yo, like it was incomplete. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, bro, after that,
Funny.
It was like, there was like one of those opportunities. I felt like had I got 1 or 2 more catches or I could have got that catch, then the outcome would have been different. But my mentality, man, like I said, based on my competitiveness and I was at that injury that I had sustained, like I said, no doctors gave me an opportunity, let alone to be walking at that particular time, let alone playing in the Super Bowl with the injury that I had. And I had to sign a waiver just to play in that Super Bowl because because the doctor didn't medically clear me because he had never seen anything like that. Because I had to go back to Baltimore a couple of times for some visits just for a follow-in checkup. And so when we went there, Rick basically took him all the video, showed him everything that I had been doing, running, cutting, everything. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. And so I went in there and I had to basically a one-on-one meeting with the doctor. And he said, what you have done, he said, it's remarkable. He said, but with my expertise, he said, I can't medically clear you. And then I said, fine. And then I told him, I said, it's all good. I said, God has already medically cleared me. And then that was my response to him. And then
Lord Jesus.
That's what it was. So we went back to Philly. And then I was, like I said, obviously, the coaches, the management, they basically gave them, the doctor's assessment or what have you. So again, a lot of people thought I was lying that I had to get, I had to sign a waiver to play in the Super Bowl, but I did.
They thought you was like Donald Trump in a one-day coronavirus. I feel you. Hey, so let me ask both of y'all this, right? So it's 2020, right? We see it a lot in the NBA, especially with LeBron always trying to take 1 or 2 superstars with him. If it was 06, 07, 08, and you guys became a free agent, could you had gone and play with each other? If it was that time, could you had played on the team with T.O. or could you have played on the team with Moss?
Oh yeah, I think I did it. I think when I went to Cincinnati, that was kind of a similar situation when they had Chad.
Chad ain't Moss though, dog.
No, I get it, but we talk about.
We love Chad. Chad's our boy, but Chad ain't Moss.
I'm talking about when we talk about type of caliber of receiver, and then just him being again just a personality type of guy.
Right.
Him, doing the celebrations. Him being the guy for so many years, they thought it was going to be combustible, that we were going to come over there. I was going to come over there and, and just ruin the chemistry of what they had going on or what have you. Even the media had already started circulating that it wasn't going to work. They thought we didn't like each other. But yeah, bro, it wouldn't have been no different than me playing. It's the same with me playing with Jerry Rice. I just knew that whatever I did, it was all about the quarterback. The quarterback was going to basically assess the play, put the ball, assess the matchups, and if he saw a matchup that he liked or whatever, he's going to take advantage of it. So that was just the nature of it. If I could have had an opportunity, to play with Randy again, that would have been immediate. They would have been like immediate Super Bowl win immediately.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's like,
you know, when I look at the offenses, you know, I think when you have a player like me and T.O. going on the same team, I think you would have to have the right coach in the right situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is T.O. wants the ball in crucial situations, and so do I. And I think that for you to be able to put us in a system that can really show both of our talents and utilize us both. And, you know, the two offenses that comes to mind is the one I was in New England and the one you were in Philly. And I really think you got two great head coaches that the team follows. And that's why I think that you couldn't just put me and T.O. on a team with just a good quarterback.
Right.
You can't, you know what I'm saying? The situation of a head coach being able to make us both feel comfortable in the system.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't have, you know, 8 catches a game for the first 4 weeks and he only has 2 or 3, or vice versa.
Right.
We have to both be able to fit within the system, make plays, and both feel there. And I think that, like I said, the two systems that I just named, the one that I played in New England and the one he played in Philly, that I think we could have definitely done some damage in. But
so, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you come back for our second part series of the Randy Moss episode. So if you didn't check out episode 1, make sure you check out episode 1 on Himalaya app or wherever you get your podcasts. In the second episode, you'll be able to listen to the head-to-head matchup between T.O. and Moss and who they actually think who is the better receiver. And yes, we do come up with the answer. It's me. Hatchie Hatch.
It's me, actually. It's me.